Hi, you guys. Welcome to the In Her Own World podcast. Today, we are going to get right into talking about the new year. I have always been and will always be a New Year's lover, but I have a different approach this year because honestly, I turned 25 this year. I'm a good 6 months into being a 25-year-old woman, and things have been clicking up here, let me tell you that. So I'm just approaching this upcoming year with a whole new set of, I don't know what I would say, like basically a whole new set of leases on life in a way. I can't explain it, but truly what they say about turning 25 is so correct. You really do just start seeing the world differently at this age. Maybe it's a placebo, but I just feel like a whole different person than I was 6 months ago, but also I feel like a new person every single month. I am always rebranding, doing something of that nature. I've been very into like personal development, introspection, journaling, that whole thing for many years. So, if you are like that, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to In Her Own World. My like mission with this podcast YouTube channel is to be a safe space for the girlies and whoever to come and hopefully leave each episode with some introspective questions to ask themselves, book recommendations, music recommendations, journal prompts. Like, those are the types of things I want to share on this channel alongside some vlogs of my life because I do have quite an exciting year of travel coming up. And personally, I eat up a nice beautifully curated travel vlog. So that's exactly what you can expect from this podcast and then also this YouTube channel with vlogs. And I hope that excites people and interests people. So if that's up your alley, especially with the thought of TikTok going bye bye, definitely subscribe because I am so sad to be potentially losing the creative outlet that TikTok currently is for me. And just a little bit about me before we jump right into the topic of this episode, because this is my first episode. My name is Shannon, and I have lived in New York for the past few years. That's basically been my personality, but I recently have made a lot of big life changes, hence why 2025 is going to be a really big year for me that I want to document on something like this. New York is so special to me and my favorite place on this earth. If you are thinking about moving there, I urge you to do it. I plan to make a full episode about my time in New York and how much I loved it and all of the ways that you can love it too and thrive. Because as a socially anxious person and kind of a shy person, moving to a big city like New York, of course, was anxiety provoking, but there's ways around it. And I can say New York pretty much fixed up my social anxiety that I walked into that city with. So, New York will highlight your flaws, kick you to the ground, tell you exactly what's wrong with you, but then force you to fix it and get over it. That's what I will say about New York. I have the most wonderful friends there who I miss so dearly right now because I am living back at home with my parents. And you might be thinking, why the hell would you move out of a city that you love so dearly and so much? And that is because I found myself feeling pretty comfortable there, comfortable with my social scene, comfortable in my apartment, and that is never a bad thing. But I found myself itching to really thrust myself into something new in 2025. And the easiest way I could see doing that to myself is moving to a new city. So I was cooking up different ideas, different places I could go. I've always thought about living maybe on the West Coast. One of my best friends lives in Miami. I was like, I could go to Miami. And then I was scrolling on TikTok and found something called the digital nomad visa. And long story short, I got everything together to be able to apply for this visa in Spain and move to Barcelona this upcoming April. So that's the big thing happening in 2025 that I am so incredibly excited to document and experience. And I just 2025 is going to be a huge year for that fact alone. And we're going to go through it together. I'm going to vlog it. I'm going to talk about it. It's pretty much all I freaking talk about with my family and my friends. I can't go 2 minutes without bringing it up. You will find in this episode, I'm sure I will bring it up time and time again because I'm just so excited and I can't believe I'm making this work for myself. Technically, I do want to note, just in case something happens, I can't apply for the visa until I am physically in Spain in April. So it could get denied, but oh, also, this is my wildly obnoxious water bottle. So there is a slight chance it gets denied, and then I'll just spend the 3 months I'm allowed in Spain, I guess. But I'm working with expensive, expensive lawyers to make sure that doesn't happen. So I'm quite confident that will not happen, but just in case, putting that out there. So if you're interested in seeing any of that journey, if that intrigues you at all, definitely stick around because I will be documenting that whole process as well. Getting into New Year's resolutions, what New Year's resolutions this year look like for me because it looks a lot different than it has in years past. And I feel like the way I'm approaching the new year this time around is much more authentic and much more achievable than ways I've done in the past. And most notably, most importantly, has nothing to do with a physical glow up. Because I am currently of the belief, something that has really clicked in my brain the past few months is really the sentiment is that how you physically look is truly, genuinely, and I just want you to hear this and believe this, the least interesting thing about you. Now, I also want to note that I do understand the halo effect, is what they call it in psychology. Pretty privilege, essentially, is how we know it more in society. On TikTok, I fully address that and understand that when you are a certain level of being conventionally attractive, people are going to, on like a psychological level, this has been proven, see you in a different light, see you as being smarter, see you as having more value. And that unfortunately is just how our society is. And that is what capitalism has bred even further, the beauty industry, especially for us women. So I do address and understand all of those things, but my point still stands that the way you look, despite all of these societal pressures to look a certain way, because you will be treated differently when you are more conventionally attractive, thinner, etc., it is still the least interesting thing about you. I think slash no, if my friends were to go around a table and say a list of things they like about me, which is exactly what we did on my birthday this past year and what we do for every person's birthday in my friend group. Not one of those people is listing anything to do with how I look, okay? And I even see it in things on TikTok like, oh, my ex downgraded or something like that. And trust me, I get it. And I think when it comes to exes and ex situationships, like, of course, you're going to peep and creep on whoever they're talking to at the time or their girlfriend or whatever and compare yourself. And it is what it is. I understand. One of the most important parts of my healing process, getting over my ex of like 3 years now, was I was talking to my friend Annie one night and just like not saying very kind things about his new girlfriend. And my best friend looked at me and she was just like, Shannon, they probably just have a stronger, better connection than you two ever did. And that was harsh to hear, but it plays into everything I'm talking about now because people who love you don't value you more because you are pretty. Like they value you for your mind, they value you for your thoughts, they value you for the connection you have and being aligned with each other. You are not more valuable when you are 10 pounds lighter. You are not more valuable with the nose job you want. You are not more valuable with the lip filler. You are not more valuable with the full face of makeup. And it's not wrong to want these things. It's not wrong to work towards these things so you can just feel a little bit better and carry yourself a little bit differently throughout your days. That is fine. I am never going to knock someone wanting to cosmetically enhance themselves, lose weight, get healthier, etc. Work on themselves for themselves, but as soon as it enters that territory of like wanting to feel more value to society, That's what I can no longer support, and the reason I'm saying this is because this was me. This has been me for the past, like, 5 years, and I really the amount of TikToks I see, the most recent one, this girl was like, "You are quite possibly not living up to your hottest potential," and color theory and wearing the right colors and just everyone it's there's so much noise on TikTok about just, like, being your hottest self, and that's all it is. It's noise. It's noise on top of noise on top of noise. And the thing that I have been working on the past few months, I'm telling you guys, I'm really speaking to my like self from just a short 6 months ago. The things that have clicked over these past 6 months is I'm like, if I work on my spirit and my soul and my aura, my energy, that's been my big word lately, your aura, you know? If you work on that, and working on that has nothing to do with making yourself hotter, doing your makeup in a different way, dyeing your hair a different color, low facial weight or high facial weight, or whatever the fuck that means. It has to do with how you're taking care of your mind because your mind and your body are so connected that the health of one helps the health of the other, right? And I think that's why when a lot of people do start taking care of themselves, usually with the physical transformation in mind, so they start running because they want to lose weight, they start lifting weights because they want to have a more sculpted body. There's a certain level of mental health that also comes with those things. Exercising releases endorphins, etc. But what I think we skip over is that taking care of your mind also has physical effects. And I think that when you take care of your mind, you take care of your energy, your aura, you glow in a way that is just different. You really, really do. So, this is not about exercising to look a certain way. This is about meditating. This is about reading interesting books that work your mind and reading into other people's stories. This is about being introspective, journaling, asking yourself questions like, why am I the way that I am? Why are my parents the way that they are? Why are my friends the way that they are? Interesting people are interested. I love that quote. They're interested in, again, why they are the way they are, but they're also interested in other people and how they came to be. Because truly, I think the crux of our society is storytelling passed through generations. Like, we are a society, I think, built on stories. And I always say, like, my kind of life goal and motto is to just go through life collecting stories. I don't care too much how any trip or travel experience or something like that goes because I just tell myself, I'm collecting stories. I could have a terrible night out in the city with my friends, just messy X, Y, and Z happens. And I'm like, I'm collecting stories and I'm collecting wisdom to pass down to my current friends, my future friends, my current family, my future family, my future daughter. Like, I am, and so is everyone listening to this. You're a story collector, right? I've looped through quite the tangent here, but really the point is these stories you're collecting, the things you're doing to work on your soul, your spirit, your mind, meditation, journaling, meeting as many people as possible, connecting with people, even just like having a conversation and learning a little bit more about the cashier at Trader Joe's. That is what's making you interesting. And that is what my entire 2025 goal setting is built around. So, no, I'm not saying that you can't work towards being healthier. And I see it with the girls on TikTok. Someone is getting up there on TikTok talking about bettering themselves, being healthier. And now that I can see it more clearly after going through my own issues with food and exercise and being far too thin at one point, I see right through the girl sitting there saying, I am just looking to be my healthiest, happiest self. And really, she's sitting there saying, I want to be my smallest self. I want to shrink myself to fit society, and I want to physically be smaller. I want to take up less space, and that means I will be more accepted in this society because that is the place women have. And I'm just stating facts. I don't agree with that whatsoever. But it's really interesting the correlation between wanting to physically be smaller but also shrink yourself within the spaces you occupy as a woman. And by shrink yourself, I mean shrink your opinions, shrink your thoughts, shrink your mind, your aura, your energy, because that's exactly what restricting yourself and over exercising and under eating does. I look back at the version of myself that was so obsessed with that. I would say the main war for me was in 2020. That's when it all happened. To 2021, it was probably like a year and a half long. But the thing that sucks about this war you go through when you're being really restrictive, you have to think about it like an actual war. The effects of a war are not just the battle. Like, it keeps going after people are displaced. There's infrastructure to be rebuilt that takes years upon years upon years to rebuild. And that's the unfortunate thing when you get into this, is it's not just that 1 year of the battle, or however many years you go through it. The healing period is so long. So this was 2020. We're about to be in 2025. It's been about 4 years now, and I am still each and every day healing from my most restrictive period with food and exercise to this day. And it has finally all just kind of started rebuilding and re clicking for me, that my worth is not tied to my physical appearance, and definitely not to how thin I am. In in the throes of me being restrictive, I fully lost my personality. I feel like I laughed less and I lacked that glow from within. I look back on photos from that time that I loved at the time, and I'm like, where is your glow? Where's the aura? Where's the energy? It's lost because I'm running on fucking fumes, okay? And I'm being a little harsh about this because I'm speaking to my past self. I hope that this is resonating with someone and not coming off as too harsh, but I'm trying to articulate this in a way that I wish it was articulated to me years ago, and hopefully this is doing that. I don't know if it is, but all of this, right, has clicked for me in the past like 6 months. And I think is why my 2025 goals look so different. And I made it a point to not make any of my 2025 goals about how I physically appear. Now, of course, I want to maintain my health, but the thing is I have such a strong baseline for my health routine that even me slacking is more than I know a lot of people do for their own health. So, and that's probably the case for a lot of people who have dealt with any kind of like restriction or being really into the healthy lifestyle. You can, like, I promise you can chill out and you're still doing a lot more than most people do. And the beautiful thing too that we are so lucky for in our 20s and 30s is we do not have to think that hard about health for the most part. And there are, of course, exceptions to that rule, people with autoimmune disorders, people who develop cancer really young, things like that. I fully address that, but that is not the norm for most of us in our 20s and 30s. And we need to not take that for granted, okay? Your health is quite simple for most of us. Eat some vegetables, drink some water, eat your protein, stay active, as simple as a few laps around the block every day. Of course, keeping the vices to as much of a minimum as you can, the drinking, the vaping, etc., but also to live a balanced lifestyle, or for me to live a balanced lifestyle. I love those things. I participate in those things, but I'm not overdoing it. Okay. We're all going to have messy nights. We're all going to take a few too many tequila shots. I'm a shots girl myself. I'm going to wake up with a scratchy throat because I decided to hit my friend's vape. These things, they happen. And it's part of a balanced lifestyle. It really is. But you do not have to restrict yourself from small pleasures in life to be healthy, especially at this age. Okay, so let's get into the juicy stuff, my 2025 journal, because a big part of this video is going to be how to set up your 2025 journal so that you can really take on this year, reflect on everything I just talked about, and go into this year with a new lease on life that has nothing to do with being hotter, because boy, am I tired of that rhetoric on TikTok. I want to know, I got a lot of these prompts, pretty much all of these were 2024 reflection and 2025 planning prompts from Ava Malosha's journaling video from last year, so I will link that below. I love her. She is one of my favorite creators lately, and I have been so inspired by her, so definitely check her out. But step number one, get yourself a journal. I will link this below. It should come in time for the new year if you order it within the few days of me posting this video. I love a soft journal, something that I can kind of like whip around, bend around, and something pretty much as big as my head, or if not bigger, so that because I have a lot to say. Let me show you guys. I've got a lot of thoughts in here. I was right after reviewing some of what I wrote down over these past few days. I'm like, damn, I did not even know I had that many thoughts floating around in my own head. But what we're going to start with is 2024 reflections, because I do think it's difficult to get clear on what you want for 2025 if you're not figuring out what was right in 2024 that you need to continue, what was wrong or could be improved upon, and without having a little bit of reflection on just like what you loved about 2024, it really helps to guide 2025. First prompt, what was the most important lesson I learned this year? My answer to this was you can choose happiness or you can choose attachment, but you do not get to choose both. I love this sentiment, and I have also realized in the past few months that so much of my perceived suffering, and emphasis on perceived because as a privileged gal, and I address that privilege, most of my problems, if not all of them, especially from the past year, are perceived and are not something that need to be plaguing me to the level that they are plaguing me. So what I kind of realized was my attachment to looking a certain way to be happy is a huge culprit of a lot of my perceived problems, and my attachment to people, specifically any kind of romantic interest, causes such a cascade of issues I can't even express it to you all. And I really do believe that mastering detachment is could be the difference this upcoming year between me having a wonderful year and me having another repeat of 2024, which in its own way was a wonderful, wonderful year, but could have been made better if I was not so attached to certain outcomes that frankly did not end up working out for me and have caused me some pretty severe emotional pain over these last months. Didn't need to be there if I had worked on mastering this detachment thing long ago. So that's a big 2025 goal. And again, this is why the 2024 reflections are important, because that whole prompt has guided what I'm focusing on in 2025. And then I wrote out my favorite moment of 2024. So that'll be obviously personal to you. I wrote down my 25th birthday party. It was just a really special day with my friends. What am I most proud of accomplishing this year? I said I'm proud of myself for leaving a job I knew was wrong for me and for having the courage to call up my old boss and say, hey, I want to move to Spain. Will you hire me back and let me work remotely in Spain? Because that's a ballsy move to make. And it worked out. They said, you know what? Hell yeah, Shannon, you can come right back over here and move to Spain if you want to. So I'm very proud of myself for being willing to ask, because another big thing that I've lived by for years now is like, you will not ever get what you are unwilling to ask for. I really hate when I'm talking to someone and I can just tell they're kind of in a bit of a victim mentality. And I'm like, but did you even bother to ask for that thing that you wanted and that you're really upset now that you don't have? And asking comes in different forms. So for this one, it was me directly calling my boss and saying, hey, can I have my job back and move to Spain? But there's also certain goals you want to achieve that asking for it means. For example, I really want to build this YouTube channel this year. Me asking for that is me uploading this video and putting myself out there. If I decided not to upload this video despite having such a big goal of building this channel this year, then that's me directly not asking the universe to achieve this goal. Best decision you made, that was a similar answer to the previous one. In what ways did you fail? This is a really important one. My number one answer to this was financially. I am just so frivolous with my money. And I think that is a good way to be in certain categories and within reason. But the second you're living outside of your means, it's an issue, obviously, and can get you into some sticky situations. So I feel like I'm getting a handle on this, but I really want to end 2025 with a strong savings and knowing that I was frugal in the right places and frivolous. Wait, yes, frugal in the right places and frivolous in the right places. I think it's okay to spend your money on experience and travel. I never want to be in a position where I have to deny going to a festival, a concert, a weekend trip, especially with me being in Barcelona and wanting to do a ton of travel while I'm there to other European countries. Having to say no to like a weekend trip with my friends to, I don't know, Amsterdam or to like a festival or something because I decided to spend $100 on clothes or something. I never ever want to be in that position over there. Then the other big thing I failed at, it's kind of sad, but I wrote down protecting my own heart. I am, when I love and or like someone, I love and like them like so deeply. And I think that's just the Cancer sign in me. And I'm just like a lover girl at heart. But I think I do finally need to learn how to set a proper boundary, because I find that when I really like someone, I really struggle to set boundaries and I break my own boundaries, because something I've realized is no one is upholding your boundaries but you. And you can, of course, alert people of your boundaries and ask them to be respectful of them. But at the end of the day, you are the one that needs to hold that wall up. Because if you waver or you remove a few bricks and you let that person in, they're going to come in full force because you are not holding up your own wall. And it resulted in me being pretty much heartbroken this year. So I I keep saying to myself, and I know this just can't be the case, but I keep saying to myself, I will never ever let myself feel this way again. I know I'm going to go through emotional pain and heartbreak time and time again. That's just what life is. But I never want it to be something that I knew I could have prevented, if that makes sense, by protecting myself a little bit stronger and holding up my boundaries. Because if I had just done that at the start of 2024, I wouldn't I wouldn't be quite as emotionally in pain as I am right now. Okay. Number 6, how are you different from a year ago? I wrote down that I really made strides with my body confidence and just my confidence in myself in general. I said I feel like I'm less selfish, making an emphasis on connecting with my friends more this year. It made me realize how deeply I had fallen into the very American individualistic culture and how much my soul was craving connection with others. I said my hair isn't black anymore. That is true. I wrote down the new tattoos that I got. Oh, and this is a fun one. I'm like deep into my music scene now, which is just truly like the light of my life. I'm super into EDM and going to festivals and shows, and I really think that that kind of saved me this year emotionally. It's just, I always have something to look forward to now because I always have some kind of a show booked. And Barcelona, let's just say, is the place to be this summer for that. I am so excited, you guys. I have so many festivals and things lined up. Number 7, what would you do differently? My number 7 answer was really similar to number 5's, which is like, in what ways did you fail? So you could maybe combine those. Number 8, who had the biggest impact this year? I wrote my friend Erin. We met in February, but I feel like that girl has been in my life since I was 10. Some people you meet and that is just what happens. And every time I meet a new person like that, there's probably like 3 people I can think of off the top of my head who have felt that way, maybe 4. And every time it really puts a fire under my ass to go connect with more people and meet more people, because I know there's more Erin's out there. I know there's more Annie's out there. Annie's my best friend from the age of like 12. And her friendship is just so important to me, and we do so many fun things together. She is my concert buddy, she is my travel buddy, she is just the best and had a huge impact on me this year. How would you describe yourself in 5 words? I said curious, introspective, superficial, which I'm working on, but just being honest, perceptive, and I said brave. I feel like 2024 was a brave year for me, especially midway through when I made the decision to, get this new job, move out of New York, make the decision to do the Barcelona thing. That was a very brave decision. And I think 2025 is going to be that way as well, because that's when the real bravery will come in, with having to move to a whole country all by myself and navigating that. And then there's a best of section: best film of 2025, best book, best TV show, favorite song, any firsts, a list of new friends you made this year, boys you liked, mental state, and an exciting purchase. So I don't have like anything super interesting here, but best book was definitely A Thousand Splendid Suns. That book was, I think, the first book I read this year, I want to say, maybe the second. And oh, wow, did that one make me tear up. It is a beautiful story. I I can't even get into it because whenever I try to put a synopsis in it, I end up just telling the full story of the book. Just read it. It is so impactful, quite relevant to a lot of what's going on in the world today. And it's just about the stories of two women whose paths never should have crossed paths, but because of war, they did, and their bond together. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And now we get to think about 2025. We've done the work reflecting on 2024. What's happening for 2025? I am a visual girl. I am a Pinterest girl. So I forever and always need a vision board. I use my little HP printer sprocket thing to print all of these out, but you can also just use a regular printer or just a digital Pinterest board, to be honest. But because I have this journal and really wanted to set her up beautifully for this year, I did do this. Um, and I just reflected on, the certain things I want to achieve this year, what I want my Barcelona apartment to look like. I put like a vlog camera on here for my vlogs I want to make. I put like a bunch of like fun looking friend groups on here. I really want to see Kind of Music this year. I'm going to Coachella this year, so I put that on there. Printed out some photos of kind of what I want my style to be and put that there. I put specifically a group of like guy friends on here because something about me is I really struggle to make male friends. I tend to categorize men as either I like you romantically, you are like the boyfriend of a friend, so obviously you're not, you're a friend, but distantly, like I'm with her before I'm with you, or you're gay. Okay, those are like the three categories of men that tend to fall into my life. And so it's like if there's a straight guy in my life who I don't think about romantically, I just kind of don't feel like I need to make an effort to have them in my life. And I really think that having more true male friendships will help to heal my view of men and their intention towards me. And yeah, so that's a vulnerable one, I guess, because it's just kind of funny. But I do want to work on having a strong set of male friends, which I think I could potentially make happen in Barcelona when I'm socializing there and making new friends, because I think that will just like heal something in me. And then this is a fun one if you're into astrology, tarot, anything like that. I did a monthly tarot card reading. So I basically picked one card for each month of the year. I wrote out the month and the card, and then I left myself space to reflect on that each and every month. So that's exciting. And the tarot deck, which is right back there on my nightstand, is telling me this is going to be pretty good year, guys. I didn't get any scary cards, so that's exciting. So, for example, for January, I got Two of Pentacles. That's about balance. For June, I got the Well, which is birthplace of ideas. That's exciting. I think the most exciting is October. I got the World, which is basically a saying from the universe like, congratulations, look how far you've come. Loved that one. I'm excited for October. And I also pulled a card for right now, and I pulled the Fool, which I realized I think is my most favorite card in probably the whole tarot deck. It's the Fool is the spirited innocence within us all. So it's kind of just saying you're embarking on some kind of new endeavor, whether that's because of the ending of an old cycle or the beginning of a new one. But either way, they kind of go hand in hand, and you need to approach it with fun and lightness. And I really take this to define what I'm trying to do here with creating more and having this YouTube channel. It's like don't take it too seriously, have fun with it, do your thing, and document this really special time in your life. That's kind of how I took the Fool card that I pulled. So I was really happy to get that. Then I made a 2025 bucket list. This is so fun. You can get fun with it. There are certain things I put in here that I know I'm going to do, like Coachella, move to Barcelona, Aruba. I'm going there with my family. But I put fun things like fly private, eat at a Michelin star restaurant. I think I've done that, but not consciously recently. So I want to consciously go to a Michelin star restaurant and really enjoy myself and like bask in the food, because the more I get away from my bad relationship with food and my body, the more I go towards the foodie lifestyle that I've missed out on the past couple years. So I'm excited about that. I put get a new piercing, get a tattoo here in New York from my tattoo artist Asami, get a tattoo in Barcelona, of course. I put fly private. I've never flown private before. Not that that's, sorry, I keep holding my big obnoxious water bottle. Not that that's a normal experience, but I would love to find a way to fly private. And then I made my reading list. So I want to read 35 books this year. So I just numbered them and put book one, two, three down the line. And I left like 3 lines for me to give it a star rating and a short review of I really liked this book because I really didn't like this book because etc. This is intense, you guys, but this it got me so excited to fill this and imagining myself a year from now reading back to what I'm writing now. It gets me so giddy. And then I titled these few pages that's quotable. I am a quote bitch through and through. I love a good hope core quote. So I just wrote down some of my favorite quotes and left 3 pages for any new quotes or excerpts from books that I come across this year. And then lastly, before we get into what I wrote down to goal set for 2025, I have a few pages for my favorite moment from each and every day of 2025. So I wrote out each month and a number below it for each day of the month. And then as you can see, I'm going to write down my favorite moment from each day. So this is just a reminder to be grateful and something that will be really fun to look back on and remember just little moments from days that maybe otherwise I would not. And then what questions are we asking ourselves going into 2025? This is the exciting part. So, at the top of this page, I wrote number one goal in 2025. And for me, that is fully leaning into romanticizing my life and posting a digital diary of it to some extent. So that's podcasts like this where I'm reflecting on current my current journey and also creating little vlogs of the various traveling that I'm doing this year and just romanticizing my day to day life. So I've been vlogging this December where I'm mostly at home, just trying to soak in the holiday season with my family and just romanticizing the parts of life that maybe aren't so obvious, like in the way that my Miami trip was obvious to vlog or a weekend trip to like a new country or moving to Barcelona, but also romanticizing just the boring day-to-day stuff as well. And then I wrote my 2025 themes, which I have 2. That is to create and to connect. The create one is obvious with everything I've been talking about. And then connect has to do with wanting to connect with as many people as possible this year. New, current people. Current people being, connecting with my parents while I'm living at home, connecting with my current friends and deepening those relationships, and then also creating new ones in Barcelona. And then I also added last night song of the year. So, kind of the song with some kind of sentiment that you want to define 2025. So, I put Look at That Woman by Role Model. I've been loving his music. I think he is so funny. I think his music is really good. So, you probably know Look at That Woman. It's a popular TikTok song at this point, but I love that one because it's kind of just saying, look at that girl go, look at her achieving her goals. Like she is amazing. And that's exactly how I want to view my 2025 self. And then the questions you're going to ask yourself and reflect on for 2025: number one, who do you want to spend more time with? Number two, skills you want to learn or master. Number three, what personal quality do you want to strengthen? So that's something like, for example, I wrote down my patience and my presence. And by presence, I mean being more present in my day to day life. Not being on my phone when I'm talking to my parents, not being on my phone when I'm talking to my friends, things like that. Number four, what do you want your everyday to look like? My answer to this was like 2 pages long. I basically scripted about what every day for me would look like as my highest energetic self. Number five, habits to get rid of and habits to cultivate. I think we all can easily say what we need to get rid of. I wrote down like any kind of stalking type behavior on social media. I know we all laugh about it on TikTok and stuff, going through a guy's following list, or it's kind of like a rite of passage to peep the new girlfriend of an ex, things like that. But it's really bad energy, and that has also been something that clicked for me recently. So I have fully cut myself off from looking at anyone or anything that has the potential to hurt me, because why are you trying to hurt yourself? I think it just shows that, not that you don't care about yourself, but that for some reason you want to like cause this pain for yourself, and that is something to be reflected on, and it's just not worth it. So any of that shit I have actually cut out for the past month, and I am so proud of myself, because it's hard not to peep people or creep on people that you shouldn't. Telling you, if you need to, the unfollow, the block, the mute buttons, they all exist for a reason. If muting doesn't work, unfollow them. If unfollowing them doesn't work, block their ass. Like, they exist for a reason, and you cannot concern yourself with looking bothered. Just do what you need to do to protect you and your peace. Scrolling, of course, especially during work hours, impulsive spending and spending to make myself feel better, body checking, that's a big one, looking at my phone when I'm conversating with people. And then for habits I want to cultivate, I want to journal as much as possible, read as much as possible, meditate. I want to make it a strong habit to work on my creative endeavors each and every day, and just being more present with my community, smiling at people, making eye contact with the cashier at Trader Joe's, things like that, just being more engaged with people. And then I asked myself, how do you want to remember 2025 when you look back on it 20 years from now? I wrote 2025 was one of my boldest and bravest years. And then I just went into a whole tangent about why that was. And then number 7, what to leave behind in 2024. And that, you guys, is literally all she wrote so far. I really hope that this inspired someone to come at 2025 goal setting with a new perspective, and without it all being based around what you look like at the end of the year, because that is very shaky grounds for success. And I would love to see each and every person watching this make their goals about how they can enrich their mind, enrich their experience, and collect more stories, create more, connect more with their community. That is what I want for myself and for all of us this year, because that is a much stronger foundation for being an interesting person, being someone that you are proud of on like a soul level, rather than just trying to be as hot as you possibly can. I ran out of storage and had to pause, but what I was saying was, the cool thing is too that I think when you work on your energy and really start to glow from within, that immediately impacts how you are physically perceived by other people. So the funny thing is that I think if you focus on your energy and your aura, you will find yourself getting probably the most positive feedback on how you look than you ever have before, because it really does make an impact, I think. I love you all so, so much for making it all the way to the end of this long ass video. Again, I hope you were inspired. I hope you leave this with some introspective questions to ask yourself. And let's have an incredible 2025, you guys. Bye.